Welcome back to the Horn Takes podcast. I am Sean Redfern, and this is the Bullpen, the internet show all about Texas baseball. Joining me tonight, as always, we got Mark Pena from Occupy Left Field. We got our man Zach Sim from OrangeBloods.com. Been a couple weeks, fellas, since we got together and talked Texas baseball. I'm glad everybody's back in the States and everybody's got time tonight. I apologize. I'm on a different camera and a different microphone, so if this sounds like crap, I don't know. My bad. It is what it is. It's the only way we could get it to work tonight. But thank you guys out there for joining us. We're going to talk some Texas baseball. It's been a wild couple weeks in Texas baseball, especially since we started SEC play. Finally got that first loss under the belt for the season. I think that was one that the last time we talked, we were kind of like, when is that going to happen? And it finally happened. Man, we've moved on from that. Before we get started tonight, go over to ChinookSeedery.com. Use our promo code HornTakes. You get 10% off your order there at ChinookSeedery.com. Texas company, delicious seeds, the best seeds ever. Give them a shot. I guarantee you will not be disappointed in those seeds. Fellas, we're back. I'm going to let you have the floor, Mark. I just want to just get us caught up with what's going on in your baseball world the last 2 weeks.
Man, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, huh? There's been some ups and downs, but I think all things considered, man, the team's right where I think we need them to be. A couple of tough losses sprinkled over the last 2 weeks since we had a show. Obviously, that very disappointing showing against Tarleton State. But again, man, all things considered, the Horns did their job, man. They won a series at home against Ole Miss after starting down 0-1, taking a tough loss on that Friday game. And same story in Auburn, man. Came home from Auburn with a spectacular series win, hostile environment against a really good Auburn team. So, man, just some ups and downs, but I'm excited about where the Horns are at. Ranked number 2 in the country. I was talking with some people today. I think we're number 1 in RPI, tied for first place in the SEC after 2 weekends. Have a huge home series coming up this weekend against Oklahoma. So fired up, man. Happy for the guys. Happy that they've showed us a lot the last 2 weeks and their ability to bounce back after tough losses, and ready to see where we go from here.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty daggone good summary right there of the last couple weeks. I think everybody was like, what's going on with this Tarleton deal? To me, that was just one of those games that we knew was coming. It was baseball, right? Like, there's going to be some days where just nobody can hit the baseball. And that was certainly the case against Tarleton. 2 hits that night. One pretty much right off the bat. Tenney goes yard on a first pitch strike. And then we don't see another base hit until the 9th inning when we're trying to play catch up. And at that point, it had just gotten too far away from the Longhorns. And then you mentioned those 2 really wild SEC series. Those were both really fun series. I think both of those teams are pretty good baseball teams. I was really impressed with Auburn. Auburn's pitching, man, is really good. If they can stay healthy, I think that's a team that can make some noise and probably wind up in Omaha. Zach, you went across the pond. I don't know if you got those fish and chips I asked you for, but I know you went across the pond for some work. You're back now. Give us your elevator pitch for the last 2 weeks of Texas baseball.
Yeah. I think what you saw against Ole Miss is probably, what Texas is on, from a team standpoint, right? Like, Ole Miss is actually number 5 in the RPI and Auburn's number 2. As they mentioned, Texas is number 1, and that's not by accident, right? Like, Texas has put together a really good season so far, and they're 20-3. In some ways, I still think their best baseball is ahead of them, because you've seen what has been good and what it hasn't been good, but they haven't played a full weekend yet where they've just been consistently themselves. And that should probably worry some teams that are on the schedule, because if they figure it all out and put all the pieces together, like, there's a good chance that they end up exactly where they want to end up, which is in Omaha, and, playing for a chance. But Ole Miss again was a good opening series. I talked a lot about them as in a preview. I felt like everyone was kind of sleeping on them because they hadn't got a lot of attention, but they were a team that I think was a really good test in terms of what they bring to the table. Power hitting, right? So Texas got a good taste to open SEC play, and then this past weekend against Auburn, I mean, that's probably one of the best teams that Texas will face this entire season. Their class of freshmen and sophomores up and down the lineup are just really, really good. And from a pitching standpoint, right, they were number 2 in the nation in pitching for a reason. Like they've got some arms on them. They've got a couple of injuries, but Texas also showed why people are so high on Texas, right? They have the depth. And so even if you lose a Friday night, they're going to win that war of attrition on Saturday and Sunday just because they just keep rolling arms out at you. In many cases, I think Sunday was pretty telling as well. Who came out after Volantis? Freshman. Who came out after him? Freshman.
Another freshman. Yeah.
You're going to start seeing a lot more Cozart. You're going to see a lot more Crossland. And then once he's back healthy, you're going to see a lot more Winter. And I think from a stuff side plus risk side, I think, Sloss-Angle knows where it's at. And I think the bullpen is going to go the way of those two guys, plus a guy like Max Grubbs and a Hayden LeFew. So be interesting to see how they, continue to stack up. But again, I think best baseball is still ahead of Texas at this point, which is fun for a lot of fans.
Yeah, I think if you're a Texas fan, you got to be excited right now with this baseball team. Of course, you're disappointed to see, the 2 losses that they do have in SEC play because those were very winnable games. And just, kind of, as you said, they haven't quite played their best baseball. And I know Mark was super ready to talk about the bullpen tonight. That's what he wanted us to start with. Honestly, if you're watching this team right now, there's some things in the lineup that you'd like to see improve as well. I mean, the lineup can always be hotter. I don't know, man. There's really just not teams most of the time in SEC play that just 1 through 9 are just all hot. So we're going to see those cycles where guys are hot, for a few games, a few series, and then they kind of go cold and some other guys pick up the stick and they start getting hot. So I'm not really worried at all about the offense. I think what we've seen out of it is just a lot more power than we thought we might see coming into the season. It's really they're tough. That's a tough group of 9 hitters. No matter who's in that lineup, it's a tough group of 9 to pitch to consistently. And really that only little chink in the armor so far in SEC play was just those couple of nights where we just couldn't come in and throw strikes out of the bullpen. And, we'd load bases up and then somebody's got to come in and try to make that right. And it doesn't always go the way you want to. My 2 weeks of SEC so far, I don't think you could have asked for very much better. We won a home series after being down, after really getting punched in the nuts. I mean, not to be crass for all the ladies. I know Michelle's listening right now. Not to be crass, but that's how I felt walking out of the dish that night. Was like someone just kicked me in the balls because we had that game just 100% in control and just let it get away. But then they come back with the answer. And I think the piece that's been the answer for me, and I want to give him a shout out, is Luke Harrison coming in on Saturday. Both those series, after both those kicks in the nuts, and was just steady on the mound. Just gave Texas innings, kept the score low, and gave Texas a chance to be in position to win both those games. So you got to give him a huge shout out. And I think that's no mistake. You got Ruger, who's a guy that's been around, and then you got Luke Harrison, that's a guy that's been around. I think coming into the season, a lot of people thought Dylan Volantis might be the Friday night guy. I know we talked about that before the season started. We kind of kicked that idea around and thought that's probably what it would be. But now it makes sense why he's the Sunday guy to me. You've got those 2 guys with all that experience, so many innings pitched between Ruger and Harrison. Those are you guys you got to lead with. And we've seen it work out fantastically so far through SEC play. We'll talk about Oklahoma in a little bit. That's a really good ball club coming to the Dish this weekend on a short week. So that'll be exciting baseball there. Real quick, I'm going to give Michelle a shout out. She says I need to do a Baseball for Dummies pod sometime because she's trying to. I don't know if you want me to do the Baseball for Dummies pod. That might be like the blind leading the blind, Michelle. But thanks for the shout out. Thanks for watching. Guys, jump in the comment if you're watching this right now. Jump in the chat rather. Leave us your comments. Leave us your questions. We'll be happy to answer them.
But I'll tell you one thing. Where were we at 2 weeks ago? What was everyone saying going into Ole Miss?
What was everyone saying going into Ole Miss?
Constant. We need to bench Luke Harrison or move him out of the rotation.
Yeah, you did see that.
Everywhere.
You saw people. Yeah, you did see people.
I tried to tell everyone, like, this is the it doesn't matter what Ruger does. It doesn't matter what Valantis does. Both of those guys could be moved to the bullpen today, and this team would still survive. Come hell or high water, this staff is not moving Harrison out of that Saturday spot. He is a constant. He gives you the same line every single weekend. And when he goes a little bit further, it's even better. And that's what he did against Ole Miss. And
exactly,
he is he's the rock on this team. And so I just want to say, like, put some respect on Mr. Harrison's name.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's real easy as a fan. Like, and that's really. I'm not like a baseball genius. I've told you guys that a million times. I've said stuff, and y'all know I'm not a baseball genius because I say stuff that's wrong all the time. That's fair. I'm a fan, though. And as a fan, you could look at a Luke Harrison and go, man, he's just not that flashy. And he's not. He's not the guy up there whipping it 97 miles an hour. There's a lot of guys that are pitching out of the bullpen that if you just look at their stuff, it makes sense to go, man, why shouldn't that guy be pitching? But the thing you got to – but there's more to just being a hard thrower. There's more than your stuff. There's experience. And you are not going to make Luke Harrison flinch, I don't think. That's not to say he won't make a bad pitch and it won't cost him sometimes, but he's not going to flinch. He's not going to mess up because he's nervous. He's been there. He's been doing this for a long time. And that's huge. I mean, to have – you're going to see it less and less in college sports and all the sports, but I think baseball as well, of these just guys that have been around that long, because they're going to start. It's going to be hard to develop guys like that. Those were guys that hung around, developed, got better and better every year, but now everybody's looking for that new flavor and that new shiny toy, and so you're going to see people like that struggle to get some time, I think, and get that development. And what you're going to lose out on, again, is a lot of experience. And so, yeah, man, this Texas staff, and you've got Dylan Valantis as the pup on Sunday. He's got a lot of experience, really, in some really tight spots. For as young as he is in his career, I think Dylan Valantis has got a lot of that sort of critical experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think even though he was a starter all of his career until last year, I think Dylan Valantis is still learning how to be a starter at a very high level, though, right? Sure. Like, he's still making changes to his motion and his mechanics and his grip, and you got to work through those things. And he didn't pitch all fall, and so he missed a lot of time where starters normally go through and get the refinement in. And so, this maybe again, the scary thing about Texas baseball is they probably aren't playing at their top right now, and Valantis goes and gets stronger and stronger throughout the season. That makes Texas that much better. So,
yeah, kind of on that note, and I'll throw this one at you, Mark. And you've been around a long time at the Dish. You grew up at the Dish, basically. You've seen a lot of really good ball clubs at the Dish. With Zach saying, yeah, this Texas team isn't playing its best baseball, it always makes me wonder, like, when is the best time to start playing your best baseball? Because what we saw last year, we saw a team just freaking rip shit up through the first few weeks of really like the first 3 quarters of SEC play. Then they got hit a little bit with the injury bug, kind of got hit a little bit with holy shit, like, we're really doing way better than you're ever supposed to do in the SEC. And then the season just kind of tapered off a little bit from there. We didn't make it out of our own region. Is there a sweet spot, Mark? I just want your opinion on it of when does a ball club need to really hit that stride so that they don't run out of gas late?
Yeah, I think, the way that I'm going to answer it is I've mentioned this to a lot of people. I think from what I've seen historically with Texas baseball, it's the type of losses, not necessarily the timing and how they respond from them, right? You mentioned it felt like we got kicked in the balls against Ole Miss, right? That game against Auburn on Friday, that was absolutely heartbreaking, man. The way that team lost the game, and to me, it's just how they come and they fight back, and it's what you see out of the team, their mental toughness that really proves to you what kind of baseball team you have. And I'm really excited, man, based off the last 2 weeks. Coach and I were exchanging some texts yesterday. I heard him on your show, Zach. Like, he's fired up and just proud as hell of the team and the way that they fought back the last 2 weeks. And to me, again, Sean, that's more important to me than when you lose. Obviously, you want to get hot towards the end of the season. But, there's been some talented Texas baseball teams in the past that lose a game and then they come back the next day and it looks like they don't give a shit. They're just as flat, as not motivated, just look lazy. And that's what pisses me off as a fan. I want to see a team that loses and comes back angry and fixes what went wrong the night before. And I want a team that you can tell is fired up and ready to make those adjustments. So I'll say after a 20-3 start, I've definitely seen that out of this team the next, the last 2 weeks. And obviously you don't want to continue to see those heartbreaking losses, but when you do see them, right, it's the response that's important to me.
Yeah, because I think like going back to just the way baseball is, we're going to need the bullpen to come out and hold a 1-run lead at some point, like, through a few innings. Like, the offense is going to be done for the day in some game this year, in whether it's in SEC play or in postseason, that's going to happen. And so ideally you want those guys coming in and again, it's really those free passes. I think on Friday night we walked 2 and hit 2 late in that game. And I know we did similar against Ole Miss. So it's kind of almost the same story in each of those Friday night games, just kind of a lack of control with your pitches and just, not being able to throw strikes. So, and the thing is, we know they can. We've seen every one of those guys at some point this year come into games and just really, really be dominant, just to be honest. And so to me, that goes back to just like mental preparation and when your name is called, being ready to step up and just throw strikes. Just go challenge people. And if you get beat, you get beat, but at least you didn't give it to them. Any thoughts on that, Zach? Like the mental thing about it. Like, what do you think? What do you think was going on both those Friday nights from a pitching perspective?
I think it's a number of different factors. You've got guys still trying to figure out their role. So a guy like Burns, is he a guy that can get up, give you that out, go sit back down, and come back out with the same energy? Sometimes not, right? Like there's guys that feed on that energy and they're able to kind of corral that and harness that as they pitch. And there's other guys that are just chasing that adrenaline bump. And as soon as they hit that adrenaline bump, they come down and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I've sat here for 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever. And that's really tough to come back from some guys. So I think as the coaches figure out the nuances there of what certain guys can do or what they're capable of, it's also about pushing guys, right? Like we're going to bring you back out and we're going to see if we can extend you out or push you a little bit further, because to your point, it's not always going to be, hey, we've got 4 more arms ready to roll. It's, hey man, I need you to get some outs and I need you to get 3 outs right the hell now. There's a mental aspect of it for sure. There's guys where, this is a team that talks about dominating the zone, and that doesn't mean strike out everyone, although they certainly have very good strikeout numbers, but they pound the zone with strikes. They don't nibble. They don't eat around the edges. But what happens is sometimes you throw so many strikes that they're going to get hit, right? Like this is college baseball. You're going to throw one that's a little too much over the middle or a little bit too high. And so you get guys that give up a strike and all of a sudden it gets in their mind about, okay, now I do need a nibble because he's seen my stuff. He's able to hit that. I don't want to go attack. And so it's almost like fighting nature at times where you're not used to that. So it's college baseball. These are youth kids. Like, sounds crazy, but if you go watch any other team out there, I can guarantee you're not going to go find one bullpen that doesn't have the exact same type of issues at some point during some game. I mean, Auburn, second best staff in the nation according to numbers. What did they do on Sunday? They were going to guys that never threw before because they were just trying to get different looks, and Texas was able to hit their guys. So same thing with Ole Miss. I mean, they just ran out of arms. So it's in some ways a good problem to have, but it's still a problem because those guys are sitting there waiting for work. Coach talked about it today. I would have loved to get Brody Walls in the game. Just weren't at a place to do that. So,
yeah, I think you touched on something that was kind of running through my mind is like still trying to figure out roles. It's got, from a mental perspective for me, it would be hard to kind of not know what the plan was. Like there's guys in Major League Baseball, and we like last year, Dylan Valanis was the closer. In the last 2 innings, he was probably going to be your guy coming out of the bullpen exclusively. Right now, none of those guys really know. And this is just my observation. I could be totally wrong. Like there may be a conversation before the game that happens. I don't know. But from my perspective, right now, it's like we're just trying to figure out who those guys are, trying to figure out who can step up and do those things. And so from a pitching perspective, if I'm back there sitting in the bullpen, it might be a little difficult for me to get tuned up because I just don't know when to be tuned up. And so never been a pitcher like that, so I don't know. I'm sure those guys have fought through all kinds of different things, but yeah, I definitely think being able to figure out how we can carve out roles and go into games knowing like here's what you're going to see. Here's who you're going to see come out of, because I feel like the last Friday night and this Friday night, kind of different look. It was a different look each game once we got to the bullpen. So be interesting to see how that develops as the year goes on. Let's do right, wrong, or indifferent real quick. We'll start with you, Mark. What went right this weekend for the Texas Longhorns?
Man, there's two guys that I could pick on, I think, for what went right. But I'm going to pile on to what Zach said. I'm going to say Luke Harrison. Man, I think his Superman effort on Saturday really helped this team out quite a bit. And I will say, man, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Auburn load the bases with no outs
in the first inning
on Saturday? And I'm sitting there like, oh shit, here we go. They're going to put up a 4 spot in the first. We're going to lose our 3rd straight game. Everybody's going to start to panic. And then he strikes out 2 guys in a row and then gets out the jam.
Yeah.
And man, that guy's just incredible. I'm exchanging texts with his dad on Saturday and on Sunday. I'm just so proud of that kid, man. Growing up a lifetime Longhorn, those are the kids that I get attached to, right? The kids that come to school for 4 or 5 years, and the kids that they're not a 1-year rental, right? They love Texas, and Texas means more to them than anything else. So it's got to be Luke for me, man. He's just been fantastic. And again, you can set a clock to what he's going to give you every Saturday. He's consistent. You can really tell that Schlossnagle loves Harrison. When he came and lifted him on Saturday, just that little extra pat, and you can tell he was appreciative of the effort that Luke put in. So I'm definitely going with Harrison with what went right there in Auburn.
All right, Zach, what went right?
Yeah, since you took Harrison, I'll go a different direction. I'll go with Sam Cozart. A lot of people, again, leading up to Ole Miss series, why is he not our Sunday guy? Why is he not in the rotation? And I think the coaches were very prescriptive about how they brought him along, extending him out to make sure that he is extended and he is able to go multiple innings. But then bringing him out at the end of that Ole Miss series, I think was very telling because they wanted to see, does this stuff translate? This is not Tuesday night against, whomever. This is the real deal now. So does this stuff hold up against SEC pitching? Because as good as his fastball can be, at times it's still flat. It's not it's not a plus fastball. And so he relies heavily on that cutter and on his other pitches. And so the fact that he's able to come in and give you 3 innings across multiple games this weekend, I think was huge because him coming in and being an anchor for that rotation, especially on a Sunday, if you compare Volantis and then go to a guy like Cozart, like that's deadly. I mean, that is some wicked stuff to try to beat on a Sunday when you're trying to win a series maybe, or avoid getting swept, right? Or maybe Texas is down 0-2 and they need to win a game to prevent getting swept. Like that's and you talk about guys that want to be at Texas. I've heard a couple of different stories now from staff members. He is a guy that didn't have to be recruited. He was a guy that told them, I'm coming here.
To Texas.
I mean, that means something, right? Like when you have a guy that wants to be at a place, that makes a difference. So I mean, big time stuff. He's still working through stuff. I mean, he's a freshman, right? Like he's just a big baby out there, but
yeah,
that 800-pound bearded gorilla is going to be absolutely deadly by the time this season rolls to an end.
Yeah, I agree. That's a tough one to beat right there. I'm going to flip over to the offensive side and just give Aiden Robbins a little love. I know he had that tough play out in the outfield on Friday night, but man, just seeing his back come alive this weekend, it kind of had been struggling for a little bit, especially from a power perspective. And man, he just opened it up this weekend and just got a hold of some baseballs. Really saw the ball well this weekend. So, one of the things I've noticed over the course of the last few weeks, the top of the lineup is just not very consistent. And I think he's like that firecracker that we talked about earlier in the year when we talked. He's kind of that energy guy, but it's hard to be the energy guy when you're not doing anything. And I don't mean that negatively. It's just the way it is. He feeds off of his own success, and I feel like that can kind of spread out, calm the rest of the guys down, get them in a different frame of mind, and you start to see guys hit the ball a little better. Hitting is contagious. I really do believe that, and he's that guy. I think he's the fire plug that or the spark plug that can get this offense going. So to see him do that on this weekend again against a really good pitching staff was a huge right moment for me. Mark, what went wrong?
I'm gonna build off your point a little bit, man. I would say what went wrong for me is a good piece of the Texas batting order struggled right across the entire weekend, and I was just kind of, as I was preparing to give my answer, I'm looking on my other screen here, and I was trying to fact check myself, and I just went and looked at the box scores. Man, it reminds me a lot about of Mississippi State last year in Starkville, where we went there and got a sweep in Starkville. Jalen Flores went 0 for the weekend. I think A-Rod went like 1 for 13 or something like that. And there was like just 3 guys that just did not hit that weekend, and we still found ways to win those games. And that's what kind of stood out with me over the weekend, man. I think you see guys like Mendoza who are struggling a little bit. Temo, I think going into Saturday was on an 0 for 18 streak where he was really, really struggling as well. I'm not sure. Did Anthony Pack get a hit over the weekend in Auburn? I'm not sure that he did.
I don't think so.
No, but he got 3 walks. I mean, the guy was getting on base for a freshman. And honestly, like if you can get 3 walks out of 10 at bats, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So that's going to be my pick, right? You don't like to see a third of the order or 4 guys in the order struggling at the same time. But to me, that's what makes winning a series like that even more impressive, is that you don't have the top of the order hitting like they're capable of, and you're still able to scratch across those runs, get the big home runs when you need them, manufacture runs, and win those games. So I think that's what I would call out. But Zach, again, man, going to your show that I listen to every week with Coach, the thing that I love about Schloss, man, is he doesn't panic, right? It's like you see guys that go 4 or 5 games, they're not going to hit. And you know what? Those guys are staying in the lineup in the same spot. They don't have that pressure where they're going to the plate saying, hey, if I start this game 0 for 2, I'm going to get pulled and I might not get put back in the lineup this weekend. So I heard him tell the Matt Carpenter story to you earlier today, and it's just like, man, guys are going to go through it during the course of the season. You got to stick with them, because when they start to turn it around and when they figure it out, right, you're going to see a guy like Mendoza who may go 8 for 14 this weekend or something like that, and just start spraying the ball all over the place. So, just encouraging that we're able to get those wins with those guys struggling, and looking forward to them figuring it out and getting going again.
All right, Zach, what went wrong? It's going to be tough to beat that answer. That was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go with Mendoza just struggling at the top of the order, just because if you think about, even back to last year, like, who was the table setter? Who got the offense going? It was him. And so just having him be consistent with his approach, how often does he pop up on the infield? Hardly ever. And so I've seen a lot of pop-ups out of him, and I don't think he's just doing it to chase for power. Obviously, with more tape on him, people are pitching him a certain way, but at that point, then you have to adjust. And so, yeah, I would say top of the lineup, the Horns just need more production, because you can't have Tinney at his best. You can't have Robbins at his best without having guys on base, because when you do, that looks very, very different very, very quickly, especially because right now you've got a guy, lower end of the lineup that is producing. You've got a guy like Anthony Pack that's getting on base, even if it is a walk instead of a hit. So the top of the lineup's got to continue to come through so that you're able to truly have a top to bottom and a bottom to top lineup that just rolls through seamlessly.
Yeah, before I talk about my went wrong, and it's going to be really simple. All this talk about hitting the ball, I just got to give a shout out to Gumbo for popping that 3-run blast. Man, it looked that was a very retro looking home run and slight pimp job. Like, that used to be what people called a pimp job, and today it was just very, very, not a big deal, but you could tell he was watching it a little bit. Exciting to see a guy like Gumbo, because we've been watching Gumbo. He's one of those guys that's been here forever, and it seems like he's always found a role on every team he's been on here at Texas. And it's just cool to see his role be a little bit more expanded this year, and then actually see him produce like that, because that was a big shot. And so kudos to Gumbo. Simply put, what went wrong for me was Friday night happened again a week later, and at the end of the game, and that, as you pointed out earlier, Mark, that's tough for me to see the same thing. Like, I can deal with mistakes, and I can deal with, like, just not being your best, but you hate to see it. I hate to see it again, like, especially in that short of a window of time. It starts to become, and that's why you've heard all the chatter on Twitter, right or wrong. You've heard all the chatter on Twitter about the bullpen and this, that, and the other. It's because it happened. It's a trend at this point. Whether it's not a great trend, it's two data points, but it's still a trend right now. So what I would really love to see on Thursday night is whoever comes out of that bullpen just shuts that shit down, and we reverse that trend and get some confidence going. But that's what, and it wasn't even just the bullpen. We didn't really hit a lot in that game either. So Friday was kind of a team loss effort, as far as everybody likes to look at the single thing that happened and go, that's why we lost. Well, no, dude, we didn't score any runs. We didn't pitch great down the stretch. We did make an error out in the outfield, but it wasn't just one of those things that cost us. So that would be my wrong for the last weekend. Mark, indifferent. What are you indifferent about after this Auburn series?
Yeah, I'm going to have to craft this response in a delicate way, because I definitely don't want it to come across the wrong way. I'd say I'm indifferent so far about our usage of the bullpen and putting guys in there in positions that I'm not necessarily a fan of. And that's not to say it's the wrong position, right? But Zach, you talked about Burns, right? And a guy that comes in that's going to rock you at 99 miles an hour, bringing him in the 8th inning with a multiple run lead and then having him sit, come back out, and then you have a 3-1 game this past week. You bring LeFew out for the third straight inning instead of going straight to Burns. I don't think it's necessarily on the bullpen. I think it's a mixture of the bullpen producing and the coaches knowing what their roles should be and plugging them into the right spot. I honestly feel like Wiener and Schloss might be struggling a little bit with how many options they have, and maybe at some point just, getting a little bit too cute about where they go. But I'm not worried one bit about the Texas bullpen. I tweeted about this last night. They're going to figure it out, and I have trust in all of those guys, right? And so I'm not blaming the bullpen. I'm not blaming the coaches. I just think as the season goes on, we're going to see best where these guys fit in and what they're the most comfortable with. And I think we're going to see things potentially change, and we'll see guys slide into the right spot. So I'll just say I'm a little bit just indifferent on the usage of the bullpen, but I think long-term it's going to be where it needs to be. And just a shout out to Grubbs. I think he's coming, man. He hasn't been the Grubbs that we saw last year. To this point, we saw a flash of that yesterday, and that dude still looks confident as shit on the pitching mound. And I'm really excited to see him get going. So again, man, I want to see them more in those type of scenarios, right? I want close games now because I want to find out what these guys are made of before we get to the postseason. And I'm excited to see them kind of turn the corner and start doing what we.
Yeah, I want to touch on that, Mark, because I feel kind of the same way about just we've seen 2 different weekends now in SEC play, and we've seen I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like we've seen almost 2 different rotations of how people, which games guys are coming in and out of the bullpen. And I think some of that is probably matchups. Some of it is probably, Mark, what you mentioned, they're just trying to figure out, how to maneuver those pieces. And they do have a lot of pieces. That's 100% obvious. All of those guys really all the ones we've seen in SEC play, those are dudes. Yeah. So there probably is some of that, but again, that goes back to my point of just at some point, I feel like if I'm a pitcher, if I'm a Burns, for example, because we mentioned Burns, I just want to know Friday night, I'm coming in the 9th inning and I'm going to get a clean, or maybe it's the 8th inning and I'm going to get a clean inning. Not there's 2 guys on base with no outs, because those things make a difference as well. And I know I don't get to choose that if I'm Burns, but it's just it's been interesting to me, some of the situations Schloss has just kind of let happen and then brings guys in. And I think he is letting them happen. I think it goes back to what you said earlier in the show, Zach, about how he's pushing people a little bit to see how they respond. And when they don't, you obviously get some pretty crappy jams that someone's got to come out there and maneuver through. So all interesting points. And I think it's all just kind of tied in. I think I won't speak for Zach, but I know me and Mark, I feel like we're on the same page there. It's just been kind of weird trying to understand why we're doing certain things.
It has been weird, right? And going back to my earlier comment, though, I think we're going to be better for this in the long run, right?
I do too.
About our responses to losses and what we've learned about this team. So I'm not mad about those last 2 losses, right? It's like if it helps us figure out where a guy is best used, and if it helps us see what we have from a team perspective in terms of how they bounce back, then, man, I'm all for it. You're not going to win every baseball game. We're going to lose a lot more games this season, right? But I want to feel like we're not getting our ass kicked. I want to feel like we did something wrong and we let the other team beat us. That's how I want to wake up the next morning. I don't want to be losing games 8-1 and just be like, oh, God, I'm not sure if we're good. I want it to be questioning decisions that we made and being like, man, we should have won that game. So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, what are you indifferent about, Zach?
Yeah, I was going to go bullpen, but I'm not going to. And the reason for this is after all the talk on Sunday, when it mattered the most, rubber game series, winner take all, bullpen didn't give up a hit until the 9th inning. Didn't give up a hit. at all. It wasn't like they were getting people on base. So they were like, and also the bullpen left 32, or well, I should say, they forced themselves to be in a position where Auburn left 32 men on base this weekend. That's a lot of men left on base.
Yeah.
No, so my indifferent is, and this is very ticky-tacky, but it feels like Texas will jump out to a lead early. Typically, it's the second or third inning. And it feels like sometimes they take their foot off the gas pedal. It feels like the offense maybe relaxes a little bit, maybe starts to coast. Now, granted, this is typically what you see where a team will start going to the bullpen and they're going to start seeing different arms one after the other. And that's tough, right? Because you're not getting the repetition. You're not getting to see those different shapes and different breaks. I want to see the team be a little more kind of like ruthless offensively in the middle innings. I want to see them go, hey, we've got a 5-run lead. Let's tack on 2 more. And granted, the other team has to let you, right? Like you can't just do it yourself all the time, but like a little bit extra more ruthlessness, I think is needed sometimes.
Do you think that's like I'm asking, I don't know. Do you think that's like a change of approach at the plate? Because what we have seen, what I think the philosophy on the hitting side is after, a year and a half of Coach Loss and Tulo under Coach Loss is, they want those guys going deep in counts and seeing a lot of pitches. And, I get that for the starter. Like if you want to chase the starter, that's the best way to do it is to run up the count and get him out of the game. But then when the new guys come in, do you feel like that's a time to maybe change the approach and it's probably not everybody, but certain players on the team. I guess what I'm asking, Zach, is if you want them to put their foot on the gas, what does that really mean? Do you think they're just laxing mentally or like, what does that look like to you?
I think it's a number of things, right? Like sometimes I think there is a relaxing mentally of like, hey, there's not as much intense pressure because we know we have a frankly very good baseball team behind us on the pitching staff. We've got a 5-run lead. Like we don't need to maybe try to stretch something out or overexert. But I think you see a lot more first pitch swings in the middle innings than you do early on for sure. So some of that's approach. Now, some of that might be the analytics saying, hey, I've seen his stuff. I'm looking for that one pitch, but it feels like they do maybe get away from that at times where it's like, okay, let's get back into free swing mode real quick. And I thought it was hilarious because Coach Thompson from Auburn this weekend said he felt like he was at a dentist's office in a dentist chair for 3 hours, just getting systematically pulled apart. And I think that tells you a lot about the Texas team in general. But yeah, just, you want that if you're in the dentist chair, like go just rip that tooth out too in the middle innings as well. Like just add a little extra pain.
That was a really accurate description of the Sunday game in general. Once you got into the middle innings,
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't pretty on either side, but it felt like we were just squeezing the life out of their team, right, little by little. So I laughed when I heard you say that earlier.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm just indifferent about, and I'm really not indifferent, but it's the only thing I can think of. The loss on Friday, like any of the losses so far in SEC play, we've won series. So like going back to like the fan mental approach of like how you see the team, like I those losses, I hate them, but I don't care because we're coming back and we're winning 2 games after that. And as long as you keep winning 2 games every weekend, you're going to win series. If you do that, you're in a great position and you're a really good ball club, especially in this league. So I don't mind the loss. Games
every single weekend, they're going to run away with the league. This is the first year in the league since I think 2021 when there's not a team that started 5-1 or 6-0. Like if you look at the middle of the parity, like the parity in this league this year, I think we talked about this early on, but I don't feel like they have the top end talent, like the elite talent that we maybe saw last year or years past, like especially on the pitching side. I think there's a lot of teams that are struggling from a pitching standpoint. And when you think about where Texas' strength is, that should excite fans for the opportunity to win the league again.
Yeah. So there's right, wrong, or indifferent for the week. We got a Houston matchup tomorrow night over in Houston. I don't know that we need to talk a whole lot about this one. They're about a 500 team. I think they're 12-11. They don't look like they – I mean, and again, I'm just looking at numbers. I have not seen Houston. I think I saw Houston play on opening weekend for about 10 minutes. So I have no idea what that team is or is not capable of. But you just look at the numbers. It doesn't look like they hit incredibly well. They do have some pretty good arms, it looks like, again, just based on numbers on the pitching side. But obviously not a great baseball team. Predictions real quick before we'll jump into this OU preview. Mark, who you got tomorrow night? What does it look like to you?
I guess I'm going to ask a dumb question because I'm not sure it's a given at this point. Do we know who's going to be starting from a pitching perspective?
Hasn't been decided yet.
I'm also guessing that we're going to want to rest a bunch of our arms on a short week and with a Thursday night start.
They will leave guys at home that normally would travel to give them extra rest.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be overly cocky here. I think obviously we should beat Houston, right? But I think if we have to choose one or the other, we're going to be investing the right decisions to set ourselves up for the weekend. So I'm going to say that Texas is going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if we were in a little bit of a dogfight with Houston. You know that they'll probably have a large crowd there on a Tuesday. Hopefully there'll be some Texas fans that fill out some of the empty seats there. But yeah, hoping we get a win, get back on track from a Tuesday night perspective. I love that we're able to plug Cozart in on the weekend now, but I'm going to miss having him on Tuesday because I felt like a lot like Volantis on Sunday that Cozart was a little bit of an unfair advantage on a Tuesday as well. So we'll see who we pitch, but hopefully we'll get the win tomorrow.
Yeah, I think you'll see Brody. I think you're going to see Huddy. I think you're going to see the cast of characters that we didn't see this week in Flores, etc. So. Yeah. Honestly, after going 3 innings last Tuesday, it wouldn't surprise me if Huddy didn't start, although I don't know that the staff would love that necessarily, but yeah.
Houston boy though, right? Maybe give him a chance to make a start in his hometown and see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think Texas should go win the game, and I think it'll be a little offensive for all the reasons you guys have talked about. I think it'll be different guys pitching that don't have a lot of experience. Cade Bing's a guy that got his first outing of the season last week. Probably didn't go the way he wanted it. I expect we'll see him, and hopefully, it's a little bit better. You talk about a Cade Bing, the guy went from a starter last year, then ran into some naggy type injury stuff, and is just really trying to battle his way back into all that. So, it'll definitely pitcher by platoon, and they're going to have to swing bats. Like the offense is going to have to put up some runs, I think, because of that. So I say we'll win something like 8-7, 8-6, that type of game, maybe even a little higher than that. So that's my prediction for tomorrow night. And I will also say this, and I said it after that Tarleton loss. I don't give a damn. We can lose every Tuesday night. The only Tuesday night I want to win is UTSA. Other than that, I don't care if we win a Tuesday night game because it just does not matter. They just don't matter anymore. And I know that sounds terrible, and I know everybody is listening, but will you think Schloss and the team? No, I know Schloss and the team want to go win every single one of those games. They all want to win every game, but it's not going to hurt Texas to lose those games. As long as they keep going into these weekend series and taking 2 games or sweeping series, they're not going to look at Texas cross-eyed because they lost some Tuesday night games, I don't think. I just don't think for the higher rated teams, I don't know about RPI all the way, but I haven't studied how it works, but I just feel like it's not a hit for them if you're in a league like the SEC. If I'm wrong, kick me some knowledge in like 15 seconds. I'm going to take the silence as I'm correct. And I'm just going to run.
It definitely hurts you. Ask Florida. So,
well, okay. So like, without getting too deep into it, losing a Tuesday game against Tarleton, it probably brings it down a little bit, but it can't bring it down that much because we lost a Tuesday game to Tarleton. We got the number one RPI.
The problem is it's a quad 4 loss. So when you start looking at the top 8 seeds at the end of the year, They're going to go look at what your RPI is, what their strength of schedule is. Now they're using the DSR, the Diamond Sports Report, which is similar to a RPI, but they're going to look at your quad wins. How many quad 1 wins do you have? How many quad 2, 3, and 4? If you go up there and you show we've got a whole bunch of quad 1 wins, which Texas is best in the nation, right behind Southern Miss right now with 7, that's good. At the same thing, if you have a shitty record against quad 4 wins, they're going to go, okay, so you're a good team, but not a great team. You are not getting that top 8 seed. So one of the, as crazy as it is, like one of the reasons that David Pierce's teams always kind of qualified where they were from a rankings perspective at the end of the season is because they made damn sure they won every single Tuesday midweek game. Because at the end of the season, they could go, we didn't have any bad losses. We're a good team. We lost to good teams.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
It matters more than you might expect. Like as much as people say that Tuesday nights don't matter, it accumulates very fast. If you lose 1, no big deal. You lose 4 or 5, that's going to hurt you at the end of the season.
Even with like 22, 23 SEC wins?
I mean, you win 22 games in the SEC, that's a different matter. But most of the time, if you're sitting at 15 to 17 wins in the SEC, you damn well better hope you did well on Tuesday nights against quad 4 teams.
Fair enough. Well, we'll see what happens. I think we're loading up on weekends and going and doing what we've been doing. We'll find out. We got Oklahoma starting Thursday night at the Dish, 7 o'clock Thursday night, 7 o'clock Friday night, 4 o'clock, I believe, on Saturday afternoon. We got a crawfish boil going at 2 o'clock on Saturday, right, Mark? I know Longhorn Foundation's got a tailgate going on Saturday from like 12 to 3, I think. For donors out there. So there's going to be a lot going on at the Dish. Make sure you guys get out there. I know Oklahoma just went in and took 2 of 3 from LSU. LSU, a team that could go either way, I think. Probably really talented, but haven't been playing good baseball. You talk about losing Tuesday games. They've lost a bunch of those already this year. Real quick, what should we expect out of this series this weekend? Tell us some names from the Oklahoma side, Zach, that the fans should be kind of paying attention for.
Yeah, I mean, the first name to know is going to be their Thursday night guy, and I assume they're going to bring him up because that's what they did against LSU. But Cam Johnson, as he goes by, he's got a big arm, a very big arm, and I mean, you're going to see 99 from him regularly. Now, can he spot and locate? And that's been his big bugaboo is what does his location and command look like? But he's their big arm, and LJ Mercurius, he's a UNLV transfer. He's going to pitch on Friday, I would assume, because he's been their Saturday guy, their number 2 guy. He's probably been the most consistent, and he's not a guy that's going to blow you away, but he's going to be very crafty and he's going to be very deceptive, and he makes it real uncomfortable at the plate. From an offensive standpoint, Jackson Willits is still there. He's the coach's son, and he plays a really good shortstop. So, yeah, they're a team that, at the beginning of the season, if you would have told me that they're hitting under 300, I would have been shocked because they're a team that has a really, really deep lineup. And it's not a lot of power, so the pitchers better be ready to field their position. The guys, in the field need to field very cleanly because they pressure you. They put a lot of steals on, and they take advantage of every single 90 feet you give them. That's a run. I mean, you cannot give up anything free, and so it'll be interesting matchup because I think from a pitching perspective, they maybe haven't been as good recently. And so the question now is that what they are, or is that the competition? So
gotcha. So give us your prediction. How's the series go this weekend, Zach?
I think Texas takes 2 of 3. All
right. Mark, you're up. Weekend, man, it should be a wild one. Finally, you might get that fan base that you've been crying about all year that you gotta have. I get it, man.
I'm not gonna stop crying until they.
You should cry about it because by God, it's a good baseball team. Go watch them play. I thought it was pretty good for Ole Miss, but I expect this weekend we'll be down in town this weekend. I expect it to be kind of wild this weekend. Thoughts on that, and then your prediction, Mark?
I'm not sure it will be wild, to be honest with you. Playing a 7 o'clock game on a Thursday night, I bet you see fans leaving in the 6th inning because it's their kid's bedtime.
Can't they just take off work?
What I'm predicting. But anyway, man, I want to see the fans do it. again, just to get another rip in. Tuesday night against Tarleton, man, almost a full house, probably one of the quietest stadiums I've ever sat in. I'll take the blame for that loss because I actually watched the entire game.
I saw you on TV, man.
I saw you on TV as well.
I should have known better. I should have known better than to do that. So that's partially on me. But yeah, man, I hope the fans show up. I think Oklahoma's a really good team. If you look at their schedule, they've played some really quality opponents. They swept, I think it was Tech, TCU, Oklahoma State, weekend one at Globe Life. Then to get a home series win against A&M is impressive to me. Going on the road, taking 2 out of 3 from LSU. That's not an easy task by any means. And man, Skip's teams are always motivated to play Texas. Their pitching staff's going to be ready. I think Oklahoma is a legitimate top 15, top 20 program this year. And I think Texas is going to be in for a battle. I'm going to put myself out there for the first time this year. And I think this is the weekend where Texas tries to make a statement. And I'm going to predict a Texas sweep of Oklahoma. I think they're going to take all 3 games at home against the top 10 program and really kind of put themselves out there as the team that everybody's chasing in the SEC.
Well, that sounds like a good outcome to me. I think Oklahoma definitely impressive early in this season, regardless of how LSU has struggled or not struggled. Going into a place like that and taking 2 of 3 in the box is a big deal. Unless they lose like the rest of their games this year, I'm going to say that's an impressive series win. I'm going to take Texas. I'm going to go with Zach on this one. I just I feel like there's going to be a kick in my nuts at some point this weekend, a kick in the nuts game. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they get it put together, Mark, and we see no more kick in the nuts games. But I just feel like Oklahoma's a good ball club. They'll take one from us, and that's okay. Get those 2 wins. That's what I'm calling.
I don't see them melting down. I see this being one of those games where Oklahoma has so many good arms in their bullpen, they're just able to shut down Texas hitting. But defense is going to be the X factor as well.
That's
not
still
a very
good
fielding team. So
either way, that I don't like that. So we may not have the meltdown thing, but I think again, 3 games against a good ball club. If we sweep, that's badass. It's the SEC, man. We just don't know. We'll have to get out there and watch it. I'll be there. Mark will be there. Zach will be there. I'm sure up in the booth, tweeting it out what's going on. So make sure you follow Mark. Make sure you follow Zach. Make sure you follow us as well if you want to. You don't have to. We're not famous like those guys, but I'll be running around drinking beers and taking my fireball shots and eating my little Kaneka sausage because every time I eat a Kaneka sausage in the stadium, we win. Every time I don't, we lose. Make sure you follow these guys on the Twitters. Anything else before we get out of here, fellas?
No, just gonna say again, man. Show up, be loud. Let's support the boys this weekend, man, and have a good time.
It's Red River Shootout. Let's get it. Zach, anything before we bounce?
None of y'all are flying out to San Jose to see Texas lose, so just go to the Dish instead. You can watch it on a phone. You're fine. Don't be scared.
That's right. There's also basketball.
There's basketball Thursday night.
Basketball, Thursday night's going to be crazy. Yeah,
they should play the game on the screen. They have the other screen. They do it at random times for like a half inning for softball. Get the baseball team on. And softball's in town. Man, there's going to be a lot of people around. It's going to be crowded, but it may not be awesome.
And they're honoring Adrian Alaniz this weekend for traditions.
Very nice.
After his complete game.
Get to the Dish, get drunk.
Favorite Texas pitcher of all time.
I love me some Mr. Adrian. I still stay in touch with him. He's a good man.
Yeah, he's doing a hell of a good job as a man later on in life, and that was one of the big deals with Augie. So I think that's awesome that you see these guys being dads and coaches and all the stuff that they probably would rather be a Major League Baseball player, but I know Adrian's having a great time being a coach and a family man and all that good stuff too. So let's go have a series against these Oklahoma. Man, we cannot lose to Oklahoma. I hate that in anything. So we need to go make it happen. Follow us on the Twitters. You guys have a good night. Thanks for watching, everybody out there. Hook 'em.
Welcome, baby.